Well, first of all, on behalf of the Embassy of Mexico, and in particular of His Excellency Aníbal Gómez Toledo, the Ambassador of Mexico, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar. I would like to also appreciate very deeply to our good friend Aideli Rios and Guapalita Inspiriza for opening this window of opportunity for all of us to learn a little bit more about how to initiate a company here in Saudi Arabia, regardless if it is a small company or if it is a medium or a large company. Before introducing our distinguished speaker, I would like to, Adeli, and if it is okay, give a little bit of context as to why we are organizing this webinar, this activity. As most of you will remember, during the different sessions of the program for leadership and entrepreneurship, we mentioned you that one of the main goals is to provide all the participants on this program with tools as to how to empower women in becoming an entrepreneur. So in this regards, Aideli and myself, we discussed as to what type of activity we should organize or we can organize in order to follow up on this commitment. And very fortunately for us, we engaged with Othman, Altamimi and Company law firm, who were very kind and very willing to join in this endeavor and to participate as speakers on this webinar in order for them, based on their experience, to offer us some very basic information like the ABC on how to open a business here in Saudi Arabia, to provide us with different tips as to how to materialize this possibility for those of you who are interested. So in this regards, it is my honor to introduce you our distinguished speaker, Ms. Reem Moteran. She is the Executive Director for Corporate Setup of Othman, Altamimi and Company law firm. She is very experienced in this matter. She's an expert in business formation, corporate structuring, and investment advisory for foreign entities entering the Saudi market. Also, she has proven leadership in business development, market expansion, and building strategic partnerships. And well, I think she is the right person who can guide us as to how to be introduced to this information, which I'm very sure that will be extremely valuable for those of you who are interested in formally establishing here in Saudi Arabia as an entrepreneur. And I'm very happy, and I would like to reiterate this and emphasize it. I'm very happy for this initiative by Guapalita, because it fits perfectly on the mission that the embassy has to foster not only the Mexican community, but also the entire Latin American community, to provide them with information and to open new windows of opportunity for them to foster their professional development over here. I think that in previous occasions, I have already mentioned about this particularity on the profile of the Latin American migrants who are settled here in Saudi Arabia, that most of them are highly educated people with a lot of entrepreneurial skills. And we understand that it is just a matter of providing all of you with this basic information, with this formal information as to how to establish a business here in Saudi Arabia, what it is required for you to take the decision and to continue moving forward in this regards. So if it is okay, Aideli, without further ado, I will leave the floor to Ms. Moteran to initiate with the webinar. So, Reem, please, thank you very much for accepting this invitation and for participating in this exercise. And the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco.
So thank you so much, Marco. Thank you, everyone, for making the opportunity for us to be able to share this valuable information for everyone. We definitely would love to assist as many people understanding the Saudi market, how to be a part of it, how to open an entity. It sounds like a complicated process, honestly, and I totally get it. But once you're into it, once you get into Saudi, and you would just like have that kind of understanding that it's regulations that just needs to be followed. It's not something as ambiguous as it used to be, and we are aware of the stereotypes that exist. So we're here just to defer any kind of doubts and make sure that you have a full understanding of what is required to be able to open a company and operate a business in Saudi. To start with, again, pardon me, I've been sick for the past like 10 days. So I'm recovering now. Hopefully my voice is very clear for all of you guys. And if anything is like needed throughout the presentation, please note it out to me so we can definitely repeat or so. And I'll start presenting now. Okay. So everyone, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Great, great. So to start with, we will be introducing today the course for like how to start to open a business in Saudi Arabia. We will be having an introduction about it. We will be talking about the investment license, the investor journey, the legal entity incorporation, and then we'll be addressing a bit of the tax and laws and regulations in Saudi Arabia. Bearing in mind that some of the regulations has recently changed, there is new laws that has been imposed, so we will definitely tackle a bit of that. Keeping in mind that the people that we're addressing today are actually mainly entrepreneurs and people with like smaller business, let's say. Those are like, there's some minor, let's say, differences that we will be definitely addressing as well. Once the presentation is done, we will make sure to open the floor, guys, for you if you have any kind of Q&As, any kind of specific requirements that needs to be addressed, we can definitely provide the answers to it. So as an introduction, in Saudi Arabia, recently has been offering a very welcoming environment. The government has done a massive effort to attract newcomers and new business owners, bigger, small ones, SMEs, regardless of the field or of the kind of activities that they're providing. The government has been doing this tremendous effort to make sure that everyone is supporting it and everyone feels comfortable and welcome, keeping in mind that we're providing equal rights and obligations to both local and international investors. The Kingdom's Startup Saudi program is aligned with the Vision 2030. So a lot of companies will be sponsored under the umbrella of incubators, of let's say accelerators, or like they can start by their own, definitely, regardless again of the kind of activities they wish to proceed with. There's a lot of like venture capitals fostering innovations and business growth in Saudi. People here in Saudi are identifying new chances and identifying businesses all over the globe in which they want to invest money, fund, and hopefully grow to bring new concepts to Saudi. Saudi is a huge market, as everyone knows, and due to the fact that we have a 2030 vision, we are required to bring a lot of like know-how, a lot of new areas to be tapped. So all of that combined will be very beneficial for both parties. The Saudi aspect of it, that are willing to invest to make sure that they grow, or sorry, to bring new capabilities, new knowledge to Saudi, and for the business owners all over the globe to make sure that they grow their business and get the benefit out as well. Now, in Saudi, a lot of people don't know, there was like this ambiguity or the stereotype that for a company to open in Saudi, you will have to have a local partner. And that is no longer the case, actually. It used to be in a very limited areas, let's say. But nowadays, you can have different kind of investment license. So the business types that you can apply for are the limited liability companies. So the structure of the company, it can be an LLC, it can be a joint venture with the local partner, if that is the requirement of the investor themselves. It can be a limited liability one-person company that is an entity owned 100% by a sole owner. The joint stock companies, the foreign company branch, and the solidarities of professional companies, and that goes for the companies that are more into the professional type, like legal firms, like pharmaceutical entities, etc. Now, another thing is that let's talk into specification about the types of licenses that investors can apply for. So with the structure, the company can be whatever that wishes to be. The only governance over this, or like, why should I be an LLC? Why should I be a foreign branch? Why should I be in a joint venture? It all depends on the specifications of the business and the requirements, the needs of the business owner themselves. So if as an investor, you feel like you need someone to go hand in hand with you, joint venture will be better. If you want to open a foreign branch for your company, that is good. If you are several companies that you want to open in Saudi and LLC, it is. If you want to own it solely, then you can do that as well. So that is the kind of things that is decided by the business plan, by the business owner, what are their vision for their company in Saudi. Now, the type of business or the licenses that you can apply for depends mainly on the type of activity. So we have, for example, the commercial license. This is for anything that goes under trade. So it doesn't matter if you're bringing like retail clothes and you're bringing products and merchandise from somewhere in the world. If you're like anything that goes under the importing, exporting umbrella, it goes under the commercial license. As long as there is selling and buying, then it's a commercial license. The consulting licenses for engineering offices, for example, if as an architectural business owner, you would just want to do the designs, then this is the kind of license that you wish to do. For the transportations as well, real estate, construction as well. If you own a company that is into the construction segment, this is exactly the kind of things that you would have to choose. There is other one, which is the industrial. Doesn't matter if you have a workshop, factory, you have an operation line, a product line, you want to do it in Saudi, you can go under the industrial license. The agricultural license, if you're bringing like, let's say some solutions when it comes to doing some, or like the recent thing, there's like this initiative called Green Riyadh. And in that one, a lot of companies has been provided the chance actually to be planting those trees in Saudi, and that goes under this agriculture license, plus growing any kind of seeding or like new things, etc. You have the audiovisual media, printing and publishing as well. Now we have the professional license. Professional license, this is for specifically some of the companies that require certain thing. Like I would just give a rough example. If you are an engineering office, in the sense that you work in the electrical engineering field, for example, you are required to present a local shareholder, and this goes under it. For pharmaceutical entities as well, you might be required as well, and it falls under this kind of license. Now, other kinds, it's entrepreneur license. Entrepreneur license is more or less associated with companies with niche services, niche kind of upbringing, companies that have tech-based elements, fintech companies. All of these are sponsored under the entrepreneur license. It gives them a lot of incentives and advantages, but you will have to qualify for the criteria as an entrepreneur to be able to be enrolled under it. And it has an extra requirement, which is to be sponsored by an incubator, a governmental official, a university, a teaching entity. So depending on the type of field or in the kind of like, if you're working in the service industry, for example, you are a salon owner or you're doing something more or less handy, in that case, it goes under the service companies. So that is the first two things that has to be identified when you want to open the business. First of all, what kind of structure based on the business that you have. The second thing, which kind of license based on the activity that you wish to proceed and practice in Saudi. Now, the investor journey is pretty straightforward in Saudi. I'll explain it in a very generic way because all of the initial steps, let's say steps from 1 to 5, are pretty much exactly the same. The only difference lies in step 6, and step 6 is only for let's say extra approvals. If you are working with an activity that requires an extra approval from a regulating entity, for example, if you are in the fintech sector, you will be requested based on the activity to have an extra approval from CMA or SAMA. If you are working with something more or less related to IT field, you might be required to present an approval or to grant an extra approval from MCIT. Again, if you are in the industrial field, you have to get an approval from the Ministry of Industries and Minerals. So depending on this kind of activity that you're going through, step 6 is different, definitely. Most of the activities, to be specific, are pretty pretty general, and they will finish at step 5. Not all of the activities require extra licenses. So to start with, any business owner from anywhere in the world is required from the beginning for us to be able to submit the initial request to provide us the commercial register or the trade license or the certificate of incorporation, whatever you call it, of their own business in their country. This is the first thing. The second thing is that you have to present the financial statements for the last year. So if you're applying for this year, 23 or 24, if it's done, then this is the financials that should be presented. It has to be audited, definitely. Another thing, the third thing is the articles of association of that company as well. So from the investor side, from your country, we will need 3 documents: articles of association, last year financials, and the commercial register, trade license, certificate of incorporation, whatever it is. Alongside with these documents, we will need another 2 documents which will be presented by us. The documents are drafts for us to be able to facilitate, for example, your business on your behalf, or to submit the request on your behalf. The documents that will be provided are a board of directors resolution to open an entity in Saudi and a power of attorney addressed to a law firm to be able to submit the request, do everything that is required, finalize the process, register the company, all in all. So once we have all of these documents, we receive it, we will do something, which is, first of all, now we have to, let's say, reserve the commercial name for the company based on the requirement of the company. Upon doing that, we will be finalizing step 1, which is to submit the request to the Ministry of Investment. By that, once all of the documents are there, you submit the request, it's approved and agreed, you will be granted an approval. The approval defines that your request has been approved, then the license is issued. Before, it used to go that the approval is granted, then you have to pay an invoice. Now you don't have to pay early. You get a time until you pay. They will issue the invoice later on, but now you submit the request and you're granted the license immediately to facilitate the rest of the registrations. That is done. Immediately we go to the second step, which is the articles of associations of the Saudi entity. Now we have to work with the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Justice. We submit the request, the name reserved, the license that we got from the investment from MISA, which is the Ministry of Investment. We submit the request, They will give us all the details. As you know, guys, the Articles of Association is considered as the constitution of the company. It has how much the capital is, what are the activities, who's the general manager, what are the purpose of the company, so how long it will last, the governance, all in all, the regulations of the company, who is authorized to do what, who's supposed to do extra, like this or that. So those kind of things. So it's very important to put too much thinking and like to focus on the Articles of Association itself. Once that is done, notarized, we go to step 3, which is to issue the certificate of incorporation. That is the third document, and by that you can say that your company is officially existing in Saudi. The commercial register, trade license, or certificate of incorporation. Once all of those steps are done, general manager is appointed, the capital is decided, the investment license is issued, the Articles of Associations is notarized, then automatically an invoice is issued for you guys to extract the commercial register. That is done. By that, you officially have a company. You can actually start using the name, you can put the logo, you can put the details in the heading. You officially have a Saudi ID. You can enter into agreements, you can sign contracts, but you cannot deliver. The delivery is until after or like on later stages. So by that, step 1 is done of the company incorporating or of the investor journey as well. The second thing, or like when we go to step 4, which is you have an ID, now you have to be able to operate that ID. And by that, we mean all of these licenses should be linked to the governmental portals in Saudi, so the company is operational. In the sense that you want to bring your general manager to be able to facilitate the matters of the company. You want to open the bank account, you need to be registered with the taxation authority in Saudi. You have to be registered in the payroll authority in Saudi, that is MUDD. You have to be registered in the social security system, which is GOSI in Saudi. All of that for you to be able to bring employees, to onboard employees later on and get them visas, etc. So this is the step 4, which I will explain in details in the next slide. Once that is done, you finalized all of the registrations. We do something which is to bring the general manager, grant him a visa, grant him or her a visa. Once they're in Saudi, they can now start operating the company. They will have the residency card, they can open the bank account, and by that, any contract that has been signed and by the end of step 3 now can be delivered and employees can be onboarded from wherever in the globe. Again, as we said, step 6 is depending on the type of activity that you're doing. And every regulating entity honestly have its different regulations. So it's a bit of a let's say a larger scope to address in this at this time. Now, as we said in step 4, the registrations, just for you all guys to know exactly what we're talking about. Now, the journey after the incorporation is done, we do the post-incorporation. Licenses are issued. Now we have to register them. The registration goes into all of these portals. You have to be registered with the municipality license, and that is for the offices. You have to be registered with SPL, which is the National Address, Ministry of Labor, for you to be able to grant work visas for people. Sorry, work permits for your employees. The Chamber of Commerce to be able to authenticate the signature of the authorized signatory of the company to be able to sign off on everything. The registrations with the General Organization for Social Insurance, which is equivalent to the Social Security in Saudi. There is the Department of Zakat and Income and Tax. Then we have the VAT registrations, which is the value added tax. We have Qiwa registration, that is the portal where you grant the visas for the employees. Muqim, to facilitate the daily matters of the expats. So when the expat is here and you need to issue the residency card, you need to onboard their family, you need to give them exit re-entry visas, you need to change their profession, anything goes through this portal, which is Muqim. Then we have MUDD. MUDD is the payroll system in Saudi. It's linked with GOSI, with number 5, with the bank, with the number 8, which is Qiwa. It's a full circle to make sure it's an extra assurance that has been taken by the government to make sure that every employee has been paid their salary on time. And the salary that is paid is accurate. So you're not writing on the contract 4,000 and you're actually receiving 1,000. Just make sure that they're equivalent. Number 11, as we said, is the general manager matters. It's a process that includes a before and after. Roughly to explain it, the general manager will be provided a visa details that is issued from Saudi. We will issue a work permit and the visa with its details and everything. Those documents will be provided to the general manager in his or her country of origin. They will have to visit the Saudi consulate in the country of origin, submit those data alongside with the local requirements from their own countries, which usually requires a police clearance certificate sometimes, a medical examination, and a medical insurance. Some countries ask for extra stuff like biometrics, etc. Other countries, they don't. So it actually more or less depends on the country that you're coming from. Upon submitting all of these documents, it takes usually 7 to 10 working days for the visa to be issued. Upon that visa issuance, then we agree with the general manager to come to Saudi. Once they enter to Saudi, they have to bear in mind that it's really important. Once you enter Saudi with the visa stamped on your passport, you have to stay in Saudi until the residency card is issued. You cannot leave until it's done, or the whole process will be done all over again. So you have to spare 5 to 7 working days staying in Saudi, and by then we'll be doing the rest of the processes, which is the in-country manager assistance to obtain the residency permit. Once like the process is finalized, it includes doing a medical examination in Saudi again, besides the one that was done abroad. It includes providing a medical insurance. Once that is done, a work permit is issued. Then the iqama or the residency card is issued accordingly. By that, the general manager is officially there, officially working, and we will do something extra, which is called Abshir activation. As you know, the government as well has done a very, very great effort to try to automate most of the processes. So everything that I'm saying now used to be done manually, and that's why it used to take a very long time to finalize the formation of a company in Saudi. But now everything is automated and digitized. So the process, everything is now submitted online, and the process is more or less now, let's say, user-friendly. It's better, it's more cohesive, it's very straightforward. So Abshir is the portal in which, as a general manager, you can facilitate all of your matters through. Again, it goes into a lot of like ways of life generally, so we can talk about it later on in a different time. But for now, the last thing after the general manager is granted the residency card, he or she, they have to visit the bank account, open the company's bank account, and sign being the authorized signatory to be able to facilitate it. So all in all, this is the post-incorporation process. And by that, again, company is fully existing, fully operational. You can start onboarding employees and deliver signed contracts. Now, generally speaking, or just to give you a hint about the licenses approval from regulating entities based on the activity. For industrial license, like SFDA approval is required if it's something related to food and drugs being manufactured in Saudi. SASO certification, which is the Saudi Standard Metrology and Quality Organization. Mudan approval. Mudan is the industrial city authority in Saudi, and as a business owner, if you want to open a factory or a manufacturing entity in Saudi, you will have to liaise with Mudan, so they can provide you a piece of land in which you can build up or use an already built up factory to facilitate your daily needs. For retail and trading, you will need the e-commerce license and you will need the SAPR certification. For constructions and contracting, usually you would have to go with the contracting classification certificate and the civil defense safety certificate. For financial professional services, as we said, CMA and SAMA. For hospitality and tourism, you have the tourism license and the restaurant and cafes license. For health and education, you have to grant an extra license from the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. Definitely for energy and environment, you will have to get an environmental permit. based on the activity, as we said, and for renewable energy license. So again, this is generally some of the regulating entities based on the activity. You don't have, not necessarily all of the companies will have to go through this step. It depends eventually on what are you looking to do in Saudi. Just a hint again about tax laws and regulations in Saudi. In Saudi, all of the companies, the foreign entities to be specific, are subject to corporate income tax, which is 20% on net profit. Eventually, at the end of the year, when you want to do your financial statement, whatever the outcome is, 20% on the net profit will be the amount that has to be paid to the government as an income tax. The second thing is the zakah. Zakah is the Islamic levy, and it's 2.5, let's say, on the net profit as well. The difference is huge. I definitely am aware of that. But if you, as a company owner, have a joint venture with a local, your percentage as a company owner is subject to the 20% income tax. So if you own the company 100%, then 100% is subject to the 20%. If you own it 80 to 20, so 80 for you as a foreign investor, then your 80% is subject to 20% income tax, while the 20% owned by a GCC national or an Arabian Gulf country passport holder or a Saudi national, their 20% will be subject to 2.5 zakah. The percentages are not accurate. I'm just giving it for example. Maybe you can own more than that, less than that, but the percentage of the taxation is fixed. There is another kind of taxation that is opposed in Saudi, which is the withholding tax. As you know, withholding tax is opposed to any kind of transfer of money that is done outside of Saudi. Now, we cannot say specifically that it's X or Z. It ranges from 5% to 20%. What is the metric? The metric is the type of declaration. So if the money is transferred as a service fee, then for example, it's subject to 15%. If it's transferred as dividends, then it's an X percent. If it's transferred as a salary, then it's a different kind of percent. But generally speaking, the minimum is 5, the maximum is 20, and based on the type of the declaration, the amount will be imposed. There is another kind of indirect tax, which is the VAT. It's one of the main registrations that we have just addressed. It's 15% on most goods and services, except for governmental fees. So any invoice, any service, anything that you buy in Saudi, it's subject to 15%, which will be definitely reimbursed later on after the registrations is done, etc. But the governmental fees are exempted from that. One last thing I would want to tackle before we wrap up the presentation is there is another kind. A lot of people ask, is there any taxation imposed on people or on employees in Saudi? It's not a taxation, but the social security system, GOSI, in Saudi is subjecting a certain percentage on employees' salary based on a certain criteria. So if you're a Saudi employee, your salary, like 22%, will be considered as a contribution. We call it a contribution. It's not a taxation that has to be paid. And this is going to pile and it's going to be a part of the pension eventually when a person is retired, okay? So as a Saudi, it's 22% contribution imposed on their salary. It has to be paid like 12 to 10%, 12 to be borne by the company, 10% to be borne by the employee from the employee's salary. The other thing is that if you're an expat in the sense that any other nationality except for Saudis and GCC, Arabian Gulf country passport holders, then your salary is subject to 2% from the basic salary, and it covers the, let's say, work hazards, and it has to be borne by the company, not the employee themselves, generally speaking. And by that, I would love to conclude the presentation. I hope it was very understandable. I hope it's very easy to digest, and I hope that I didn't make your life hard or bore you by this. So let us go back to you, Adley, and we're open for any kind of questions, if any. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reem. Okay, thank you so much. We will appreciate this information and all the consultancy that you have just provided, your time. I just invite the audience here, if they can't write your messages, your questions. Here it says, good morning. Mario says, good morning. Thank you for all the information you have provided us. If I want to work in Saudi Arabia as a business marketing services consultant, what type of license should I request? And as an artist representative also. So it's business marketing service. That's the question. If he wants to work as a business marketing service consultant, what kind of license is this?
It's but to start with, it's one of the most straightforward kind of licenses. It doesn't require an extra approval. It's a service license, so the bare minimum is required. Again, they just need to present us with the 3 main documents that we have mentioned earlier: a commercial register, articles, financials. We will need to submit them. There is no capital requirement. Capital can be anything. The general manager can be mentioned, like it can be nominated from any country. So it doesn't have any specific requirement. The time frame even to issue that kind of license is going to be from, let's say, 8 to 10 weeks nowadays, just considering that there's a huge changes in the regulations in Saudi. So pretty much that's it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much, Reem. Then we have another question from Marcela. Well, I don't know if for artist representative, will that the same situation? Because it was also artist representative.
It's going to be exactly the same thing. It's a service company. Yes.
Okay, very well. Then Marcela has another question. It says, we are a technology company and have been registered here for 2 years. This year, we need to renew our license, but it's associated with a specific project. How can we renew it and release it so we can work on other projects?
Actually, the contractual aspect totally separated from the renewal of the official documentation. So they can still renew it while still presenting or doing or delivering their current contract. It's 2 separate matters. They're not gonna stand in the way unless there's something I'm not getting. Her name is Marcella?
Yes, Marcela.
Yeah, Marcella, if you want to give more data, because renewing the documentation requires you logging to your official channels or the platforms and submit a request. So unless there's something else that is preventing that process, the contract delivery should not be a part of it and should not even stop you from entering with new vendors or new contracts, let's say.
Marcela, you're allowed to talk if you want to give more details.
Hello. Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, dear, we can.
Okay. Well, the problem is that we already renewed the MISA license.
Okay.
But first, we don't know how much we have to pay, because we read some place in Google that it was 62,000 real. So, and we don't know when they are going to submit us the bill to pay this renewal, or if we have to pay anything now.
See, referring to the new regulation, as I outlined, before it used to be like once you submit the renewal request, before anything goes, the first thing is that they give you an invoice. Once you clear it, you'll be granted the license. But now what they're doing is that once you submit the request of renewal, they will give you the license, the renewed license, and later on, like in a couple of months or so, they will issue the invoice by which you will have to pay. Now, being a MISA license owner, and it's been more than 2 years, so the fees is definitely 62,000. And this is how much that it's going to be. It never goes more than that. Actually, there's some like ideas that, you know, they're trying to make it easier on people, decrease the amounts or even waive it, but nothing has been assured yet. So the highest it goes is 62,000. So by the time they issue that invoice to you, it will be with that amount.
Okay, thank you, Reem.
Sure, dear.
There's another question from Dr. Mirza Henderson. She says, greetings and thank you for your support and presentation. What type of license is required for car rental and to open a business center? Do business centers and business incubators require the same license? And also she wants to know if there's a trade agreement between United States and Saudi.
See, it's actually several things, so let's just tackle it one by one. So first of all, as car rental services, it differs because, again, more details. Are they going to own the fleet of cars, or they're just gonna act like a broker between the actual owners and the end users? That differs. If you're gonna be like serving like a platform just to connect, which is now everyone is doing that. They're finding some kind of need, and they're like, you know, performing this kind of brokerage through a platform where they connect people who are in need of a certain merchandise or service with the actual owners of those kind of merchandise or products. So if that is the case, then this might fall under the entrepreneurial license. But if they are going to enter as a service company, in the sense that, like we've worked with a case, a company came, they have the fleet of cars, they came here, they bought a lot of cars, and they started renting it. In that case, it's a bit different. Not in the sense, it's actually even easier because they're the actual owners, so there is not a lot of third-party, let's say, contracts, but it's more or less a head-to-head kind of relationship. So the requirement, it's more decreased in this case. And this one does not fall under the entrepreneurial license. Now, do they have different requirement as a service company or an entrepreneur license? Yes, because of the fact that as a service license, just like what happened with Marcella, you will have to pay a bigger amount for the licenses to be issued. For example, first year of MISA license is 12,000 SAR. Second year, it's 62,000. And every year it's 62,000. But if you are an entrepreneur and you are incubated in an incubator, that incubator being an actual incubator, being a university, a research and development entity, whatever the kind of thing is. And in an incubator, you will have to pay 2,000 SAR, which is very minimal amount. And that is the amount that you will have to pay every year for 5 years at least. And after the 5 years, they will revisit you and check, are you still qualifying as an entrepreneur, or now you are an actual SME? And then you will have to go with the 62,000, or they will extend you paying the 2,000 for another, let's say, 5 years. So depending on that, actually.
Okay, very well. And Dr. Henderson would like to know if there's this trade agreement between United States and Saudi. I don't know if you have that information.
Actually, I don't possess that kind of details as of now, but it's definitely worth investigating. We can get something about it.
Very well.
Hello, hi there. How are you? May I actually ask the question in regards to the incubator?
Sure, dear. Tell me.
Thank you. By the way, this has been amazing, and I have been looking forward to this opportunity for years. So I'm very happy to receive it today. Thank you for taking the time to educate the Latin community in Saudi and in Bahrain. The reason I asked the question in regards to the incubator is because I actually own an incubator in Bahrain, and
Okay.
I would like to offer the same opportunity. In that case, I think the question you asked me answer was an entrepreneur becoming part of the incubator. But what about opening an incubator itself? What license would it require to open an incubator?
It will be recently there's been a trend. So I cannot tell you, like in the last 2 months, maybe.
Yes.
I've heard that there was another 3 or 4 incubators have opened again.
Yes.
Now, it's been a trend. A lot of people are following it. Some people are more or less focused on a certain industry. So they would say, I'm opening an incubator for tech companies, or I'm opening an incubator for like auditing entities or for like law firms or whatever. And other were just like, we're opening an incubator in general for whatever companies that comes to us. It's very trendy. It's very easy now. The process is the guidelines now are getting clearer for people now. And you can grant yourself an incubator license by applying to MISA, going through the same circle. You just need to present your history in Bahrain, stating the fact that you've been providing this, you have programs that is already developed, you have a way to like do the whole graduation process, you know? So you just need to explain that in a very, very, I'm not gonna say, very simple pitch deck that has to be
Okay.
presented to the Ministry of Investment.
Okay.
Just show them the plan, etc., and definitely they can be granted. It's actually the time to do it. It's very clever.
Is an incubator in Saudi Arabia considered in the same activity as a business center, or they are distinctively different?
See, it depends. Some
Okay.
people would, some people are opening an incubator and then it becomes more or less a venture capital where they have companies, they invest in them because, you see the entrepreneurs when they come, you see the know-how, you see the things that they're bringing, and you
Right.
just like, as a business owner, you know that this is going to be a hit. So you would want to invest and become an equity owner, etc., and go with it. So if that is the purpose of you opening, then okay. If you're opening just for the sake of facilitating the matters of new business owners, in that sense, you are a business center. So it's a path that you will have, or it's a direction that you would have to choose.
And to whom should I reach out to
Sorry for the
find out?
interruption. Sorry for the interruption. We don't have too much time, and there's still 4 more questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for your support.
But Dr. Henderson, thank you so much for the question. Anyway, you have the email of Reem, or we can provide actually also the email of Reem's for further conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks for the understanding. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
of course. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another question from Gabriela Toranzo. It says, when you want to open here a micro enterprise, in more particular artisanal soaps, which sort of license do I need? She asked.
In this case, she will be making them.
Could be, once again?
She will be making them in this case,
Yes,
so
yes.
they'll be manufacturing it. That goes under the industrial license, and because of the fact that includes a product that will be used or consumed on actual people, in this case, it will be subject to SFDA approval. So that is a part of the licenses that she has to take. So she starts as an industrial license, SFDA final approval.
Very well. Okay. Mayerlin Torres says, I am a psychologist and I want to work in private consultation and training. She has the sponsor from her husband. What type of company can she register?
Service companies, if she's going to be doing like life coaching, providing like mentor related health or direction, let's say, we call it behavioral behavioral treatment. So that kind of thing can be done under a service license. But if she is going psychologically, in the sense that they're going to be providing medicines and you're going in that kind of route, in this case, it has to be granted an extra approval from Ministry of Health, and there will be specific requirements even on the facility, on the places, on the staff itself. Extra license should be provided to them besides the residency card if they're expats.
Correct. Yes, very well. Then Hydra says, is there a license for freelancers or solo professionals? If so, what are the requirements?
Actually, as expats, they're kind of like more or less not allowed to be working for other entities unless the entity they're sponsored by. So even if you're working under a current entity and you would want to do something in this you're legally not allowed to do so. My suggestion would be open a consulting service license where you as a freelancer can provide whatever the services on the field that you're specified in.
Very well. Okay. And then Dinah says, thank you so much for the formal webinar. If I want to start as a entrepreneur, importation products, what is the minimum investment to do that for
Importing?
Yes, for importing. I think that, I don't know, it depends of what she wants to import. What do you suggest here?
The thing is that the commercial, anything that relates to importing, exporting, it can be huge machinery. It can be pencils and like straws even. If you are into the commercial license segment, there is actually a lot of requirements, and this one is one of the hardest one. There is a capital requirement of 30 million SAR for you to go into that sector. There is a way, like, and again, they're revising the regulations, etc., but it's not finalized yet. But that requires you presenting it to 3 different jurisdictions. So 3 different countries, you have to present their licenses, plus there's a 30 million capital on stake as well. If that is something that she's willing to dig in, we can definitely help her and provide extra process.
Okay, so it depends on the sector, definitely. Okay, so, well, here it says, we already share your email, reem@othmimi.com. And
Thank you so much.
this has been an amazing webinar with very valuable information. Thank you so much, Reem, for this information, for your time, for providing us this consulting moment. And thank you for all the participants. You have the email from Reem, and please feel free just to go for further questions, anything again. Yes, the email has been sent here. Oh, let me just do it again. Maybe I made a mistake and I just okay, here I write it again. It's reem@othmimi.com. Please let me know if you receive it here in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you so much, Adeline, for even making this happen. And we're more than happy to provide even more and more things about different kind of topics, if that is an area of interest. And at any point of time, guys, if you need anything, you have our email address. Just send us your query, and definitely we'll be addressing it. I really appreciate this, and have a nice day, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Reem. Thank you
Thanks
so
a
much,
lot,
everyone. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you so much.
Ciao,
Bye,
ciao.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.